Welcome to Get Your House in Order. I'm Elke Rubach, and today I'm thrilled to be joined by Meridith Elliott Powell, an award-winning author, a keynote speaker, and a business strategist that has been recognized as one of the top 15 business growth experts to watch. With a background spanning banking, healthcare, and finance, Meridith has ascended from entry-level roles to C-suite, earning her place as a certified speaking professional and a certified executive coach. In our conversation today, we'll delve into how leaders can transform uncertainty into a competitive advantage, align their teams around a unified vision, and ensure that organizations are built on a foundation of clarity and purpose. Without further ado, welcome, Meridith. So thanks for joining us, Meridith.
I'm excited to be here, ready to have a great conversation.
So let's dive in because I'm really looking forward to this. Tell me, in your book, Thrive, you discuss turning uncertainty into a competitive advantage. How can you, or how can leaders do that? Or how can you reframe in a way that it's an opportunity as opposed to a threat?
Yeah, it's beginning to reframe uncertainty is probably one of the most important things that you're going to do in today's marketplace. When I was coming up through the ranks, uncertainty and change were things that happened now and then, and now they're a constant. And you literally have to make the decision that uncertainty is a positive, is to buy into the idea that uncertainty is always going to lead to opportunity. Because if you don't, you're going to be fearful of uncertainty. And if you're fearful of uncertainty, it's going to shut down innovation and creativity, the very things that you need. So where do you start? I say that the most important place to start is to have a vision, is to really sit down and have a vision of where you see your life, where you see your business, where you see your relationships and your health a year from now. And then really practice focusing on that vision. Like your mind will find what it focuses on.
And I could not agree more. The one thing that is constant is change, and you can spend all your energy trying to stop it, and you can't. You simply can't. And we also tell our clients, you need to sit down and get your house in order. Sit down. Who are you? What do you stand for? What's important to you? What do you want more of? What have you done so far that you like? What do you hate? What you want more of? What do you never want to see ever again? But that takes leadership and self-discipline. What are the first steps that a leader should take to ensure that themselves are aligned and their organizations are aligned and that everything is moving in the same direction, especially during times of more, like, it's not that the change ever stopped, but now there's more change than ever.
Yeah. I think there's a couple of things. I mean, number one is that you do need to have the vision that we were talking about. The second is, though, you need to be really clear on your values. What's important to you? What matters to you? What's a non-negotiable for you? You said it so well. You said define who you are and is that aligned? I mean, when I know what my values are, I can decide if my values align with the organization I'm working with or not. And if I have a team member that I'm challenged with, do my values align with that team member or not? Because it's going to be a complete challenge if we're out of alignment in the face of uncertainty. So I think getting very clear on your vision. I was working with a young man this morning, and his vision of what he wants is not going to be available at the company where he is. So he can still have the vision. The path needs to change of how we're going to get there.
And I think that your values change over time, mm-hmm. and what you prioritize might change too. And I think you have to come to terms with that as well. I find when there's misalignment in a company or in a vision or an endeavor or whatever the situation is, not only does it become heavy, it's not that people whose values don't align are good or bad or better or worse. They're just not the right match at the present time. And these are people who might be slowing you down or actually blocking you. So you have to be steadfast with alignment and working with the people that you want to deal with. So how do people go through it? Because I think there's a special level of resilience that's needed. And what are the special habits or mindsets that help leaders build and maintain resilience?
Yeah, I think, so we talked about the vision. I think the second thing is that I always say you have to get in shape for change. And what do I mean by getting in shape for change? If I told you we were going to run a marathon this time next year, we wouldn't just go out and run a marathon, never having gotten in shape. We'd get on a nutrition plan. We'd start exercising around it. You've got to do the same thing for change. You've got to talk about change. You've got to think about the fact that things will not be exactly the same this time next year. So we use a tool called a skeptic, and you ask yourself a few questions like, how is society changing? How's competition changing? What's changing economically, politically, with technology, industry, customers? And then just talk about it. How do we see our customers changing? What's changing with technology? What, if any of those changes, do we need to be getting ready for now? So the idea is that you shift the energy from thinking you have no control about change to actually talking about that change so you can start to predict it.
So is that a sales strategy that evolves in response to market shifts and economic uncertainty?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's, at its basis, but, in all honesty, you can even use it in your personal life. I mean, how's your life going to change in the next 10 years? Are you retiring? Do you have kids going to college? Are you going to be empty nesters? Do you have parents who, are getting older? And the idea is that you say to yourself, what changes do we see happening? And then how can we use the time that we have now to get ready for those changes? Is there anything we could do to to get ready for that? Because the enemy of change, the change is not your problem. It's not your enemy. Resisting is your biggest challenge, resisting change. And so if you think about it ahead of time, you can go, wow, if I know this is going to happen or even think this is a possibility, what could I do now to get ready for that? What I could do now to be prepared for that?
And I find that if you plan your life or your business literally following headlines, you're behind the ball. You're
Yes.
not you're never going to catch up, and it's never going to work. And if you're hoping that the government is going to come and rescue you, well, good luck.
Yeah, that's right. It's not going to happen.
And so how can leaders foster a culture of accountability and ownership within their teams, ensuring that everybody feels responsible for the success of the organization?
Yeah, so I think there's a couple of things. Number one, I think you need to involve people in the process. If you want people to be accountable, you need to give them a voice and you need to give them a say. For example, if you want to increase sales by 20%, just don't tell the team you got to increase sales. Ask them how. Ask them, what could we do to increase sales? What are your thoughts? What are your ideas? Because people support what they help create. What are their ideas? The other thing is you need to let people know the rules. You need to let them say, in order to be successful at this company, here's what you need to do. Here's the roadmap to do it. And if they do it, reward them. If they don't do it, you need to figure out, are they not doing it because they don't have the skills? And if they don't have the skills, you need to train them. If they're not doing it because they don't want to do it, you need to get them off the team. I think lack of accountability is one of the biggest blind spots of leaders today.
So you've obviously, like any one of us, have navigated various roles and challenges. And what personal practices have been most impactful in your own journey?
Yeah. But gosh, there've been so many. Number one is the biggest practice. I get up every morning and the very first thing I do is I meditate. And then I read my goals. I read where I see my business, my relationships, my health, my finances, and my business 1 year from now. Like I have just an incremental goal out of that. And so that starts my day every single day. I set my mind right and I focus my mind on what I want and the clarity of that. I revisit my vision at lunch. I revisit it again before I close my business down at night. I read my vision 3 times a day because I'm focusing my mind on finding opportunity. But I tell you, the other piece I think that has been very important in my business success is I've realized that my business success is dependent upon my success in my relationships, in my marriage, my kids, with my health, and my finances. And so I've worked to make progress in all of those areas as well. I don't think that you are well positioned to thrive in uncertainty if you're unhealthy. I think you have to be making progress in every single area of your life.
And you're so right. You always need your team, your village. And so meditation, health, when it comes to an organization, small or big, there's a lot of accountability expected from the bottom up that is not disclosed, that people don't really talk about. How can you deliver? How can you find out from your team what they're expecting from you?
Yeah. You should ask them. You should lay your expectations out to your team, but you should also turn around and say to your team, I'm here to support you. I'm here to help you. What do you need from me in order to do that? Like, ask them what their expectations are of you.
And obviously, a clear organizational vision contributes to maintaining focus and direction during turbulent times. But when you work with people, how do you work with them? How do you help them?
Yeah. So, number one is, are you talking about me working with an individual, with a team, all of the above?
All of the above.
Okay. Yeah. If I sit down and I work with an individual or a team, I need to know what they want. What's their goal? What's their vision? Where do they see things 1 year from now? If we're going to work together, what's the return on investment that they're looking for? What do they want to be different? And once we know what they want to be different, we can back into it. What actions, what strategies, what behaviors, what skills do they need in order to make that happen? And then I'm there to support them, to train them, to hold them accountable, and to make the adjustments along the way, because whatever plan we come up with will not be the exact plan that gets us to the goal. It'll just be making the adjustments on the way to get there.
And what's a typical engagement when you work with people? 1 year, 3 years, 10 years?
For my coaching clients, most coaching clients have stayed with me for, 10 years plus. Consultants, I typically go in for a project for usually about a year, and then we may take a year or two off and they'll call me with another idea. It depends on the scope of the project.
Okay. And it's funny because I've been talking to other people, and we do this all the time, right? We need to get clear first on who we are and what we want to do ourselves, and then we can come up with a project or a venture or a relationship or a friendship or whatever it is, right? And it seems to take a village of balance and vision. But when you work with so many people, what is your vision? Because you probably work with people from all walks of life and every industry possible. What is the legacy? Why did you get into this, and what are you hoping to do in the world of business that really influence your daily activities?
Yeah, it's so easy for me. I'm on a mission in life to help people learn to turn uncertainty to competitive advantage. I want them to believe that uncertainty, in no matter the disruption, always leads to opportunity.
And how did you come up with that?
It's really easy. It was funny. I was listening to customers. I'm here to serve my customers. I'm here to help the people my clients. And back in 2016, every single client that I was talking to said the same thing. They said, oh my gosh, we're having our best year on record. Things could not be better, but oh, this uncertainty. And I just started to think, why does uncertainty always have to be a negative? Why does it always have to be a bad thing? And what would happen if you flipped the script on uncertainty? What if you just decided that uncertainty was a positive? And once I did that, I wanted to crack the code and help people learn to do that, because I just saw uncertainty as the biggest challenge that people face.
And then people freeze. And when did you think it was the right time to write a book? Because that's a big step.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. I would write books even if nobody ever read them, because the thing I love about writing books is, you have an opinion that uncertainty is a positive, right? But a book forces you to write down why and to back that up and to say, gosh, if people were going to read this, how do I help them through this book? And so it just makes you more grounded in who you are, what you believe in, and your confidence. So the moment that I come up with something that I think is important, I pretty much head out to write a book about it, more for me than really for anybody who needs to read it.
Was it like a kind of a journal in a way?
Yeah, some ways, yes, absolutely. It starts very much as a journal.
So you've covered every corner of the country. Where else have you gone? What's been the most sophisticated place you've been to?
Yeah. So, it was funny when I used to, the most sophisticated, bar none, place that I've been to and I've spoken was Singapore. I can't think of any more sophisticated than Singapore where I worked. I used to work quite a bit in Southeast Asia before COVID, but I've traveled. I've been lucky enough to travel all over the world, and there's just been something unique and wonderful about every community I've met. I visited, whether it's been somewhere exotic like Bali or it's been, somewhere like Milwaukee, Wisconsin. I just want to be around people who are interested in growing and developing and expanding.
And your background is fascinating. You've been in banking and healthcare and how did you go from one to the other and
Yeah.
clearly uncertainty is the thread. How did that happen?
Yeah, so I never thought that my career made any sense at all. I was not that kid who went to college knowing who were and wanted to be. I certainly had no vision as a young woman. But I got a job in travel and tourism, was recruited into healthcare, and then recruited into the banking industry. And I never thought that made any sense till one day I was doing a podcast and somebody asked me that question. And all of a sudden, I realized I got into travel and tourism when a hurricane had ravaged the community. I got into healthcare when managed care showed up, and I got into financial services when regulation came into the industry. And I realized that while most people hate disruption, I really like it. It's my thing because all those industries were going through massive disruption. So I think for my career, I was never chasing a job. I was chasing the challenge. And that's what's exciting to me.
And it's interesting. When you look back and you look at yourself when you were 8 years old, if somebody had told you you would be here today,
Never.
never,
No.
ever. And have you moved around the country?
Not really, not so much. I live in Asheville, North Carolina. That's where you're coming to me right now. I've had a home here for over 30 some years. I've had apartments other places, but I love Western North Carolina. I love the energy of it. I'm a big outdoors girl, so I'm very, very happy here. While I travel probably 180, 200 days a year, this is what I call home.
So you do mostly public speaking and you coach while you're traveling? Or how do you do it?
Yeah. So I do mostly public speaking, but the beautiful thing about coaching and a lot of my consulting is that I can do it from anywhere in the world. And so I'll do it when I'm when I'm traveling for an event.
Yeah, you block it. Same here.
Yeah.
And so what's in the agenda, Meredith's agenda when you're not traveling or working? What else do you do?
That's easy. If I'm not traveling or working, I can be one of three places. I'm on a tennis court, I'm on a golf course, four places, on a hiking trail or mountain biking. Any of those four. I pretty much spend as much time as I can outside every day.
Well, that's nice. I'm golfing later today. So
nice.
Yeah. Am I good? Socially acceptable.
That's all. It's all. My goal in life is to be mediocre at every sport, and I've achieved it.
Exactly. It's just not to be embarrassingly, you're good.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. Awesome. What's your pet peeve? What would you like everyone to know? What would you like people to act on? And it's a fine balance because you can't spend your life convincing people, but what's the piece of advice that you would like everyone to hear and act on and say, now is the time?
Yeah, well, that really comes down to two. I mean, number one, I'm a passionate believer that if you build your network, it will change your life. I love the fact that we live in this high-tech AI kind of world, but at the end of the day, it's all about connections and relationships. And you walk into a room full of strangers, I want you to see opportunity. I don't want you to see an awkward situation in that, reaching out and making those connections. If I had to say my pet peeve right now, it really is. I'm just so frustrated with how judgmental we've become as people. If I don't believe in your ideas and your thoughts and your opinions, anything that I think or feel is discounted. And a reason it's pet peeve for me is one, I think it's mean, but two, I think that I think we're missing out on incredible opportunity. Different points of view and different thought are where the value is and where the growth. And so if I had to say my pet peeve right now, it's that we lost this desire to listen and need this desire to only surround ourselves with people exactly like us.
Which is a very shallow way of living. I agree with you. I remember when my kids were little, they always they I mean, they hated going out with me because I would always bump into people and I would start talking to people.
Yeah.
And they started with this concept called turtle formation. So one would stand in front of me, the other two to the side, and they would grab me by the arms and they'd just plow through the wherever we were. It's like, just mom, let's go. We can get out of here fast. I'm like, no, we want to make connections. We want to talk to people. Where's the rush? Like, if you can't be connected to people, where's humanity going in all of this? So I find that it's humanity and exchanging ideas that make the world advance and progress. In my opinion, if it's opposite yours, doesn't mean that yours is wrong. Maybe there's something of yours and something of mine that we put it together, we can improve the situation, right? So anyway, especially after having seen the Ryder Cup this past weekend, it was, I've never seen anything like that. It's certainly not golf, but maybe I've lived on.
No, it's so, I thought to myself, they should never have that in New York again.
It was embarrassing for the sport. Like, forget anyway, but I digress. Anyway, well, Meridith, I think we're getting a lot out of it today. I thank you for sharing your insights and really helping people understand that uncertainty is not scary and it's an opportunity. It's leading with purpose. And as we've discussed, getting your house in order isn't just about addressing immediate challenges or putting off fires. It's building a resilient foundation that can withstand and thrive as change comes. And you need to be clear on who you are and what you're made of, and then lead with that. For our listeners, consider where your organization stands today. But even before that, consider where you stand today. Are you aligned? Are you resilient? Are you prepared? And most importantly, are you leading with clarity and purpose? If not, it's perhaps time to take a step back and ensure that your house is truly in order. I'm Elke Rubach, and this has been another episode of Get Your House in Order. Until next time, lead with intention, with purpose, and make sure that your house is built to last. Thank you very much, and bye-bye.